Hello there, my name is Mooseman, and today I will be informing you of whether you should play, wait or avoid the civilization management game Life in Bunker. As always, we will be looking at gameplay, aesthetics, future potential, and value before making a final verdict on the release version of Life in Bunker. Life in Bunker is a management game in which it is your job as the warden to care for and maintain a civilization of people trapped in a fallout shelter. While you have no direct control over what your citizens do, you can assign them to jobs and tell them what and where to build upgrades to expand your small underground home. You can assign your workers to be builders, janitors who clean up everyday messes, cooks, farmers who grow food, mechanics who fix broken buildings, and scientists that serve multiple functions. Aside from assigning workers to do specific jobs, your main job will be to design the interior of your bunker by telling your workers where to build and how to expand the room you have to work with by digging out into the untamed underground landscape. Constructing buildings requires raw materials, so designing your bunker in a way that allows you to reach ore deposits is incredibly important. Managing your underground home requires you to maintain oxygen, food, leisure, and a variety of other aspects of everyday life in order to keep your workers happy and at peak efficiency. You also have the ability to build lifts that can reach different vertical layers of the cavern, giving you a huge canvas to work with when building your base. As it stands, Life in Bunker's AI has massive trouble prioritizing work, resulting in anything you do taking an exorbitant amount of time to actually get done. Normally you'd think that making more workers would fix this problem, but it seems like the game gives a task to a specific worker instead of calling any free worker to get things done. What this results in is projects taking a huge amount of time to progress because an assigned worker is eating, sleeping, or just working on something else. While the way the AI acts is extremely annoying, the main problem with Life in Bunker is the lack of any meaningful progression. You have the ability to have your scientists research new technologies, but in reality all of these technologies are just simple stat boosts, increasing drilling speed by 10%, increased refining speed by 10%, and so on, with the only actual building upgrades you can get just being different or bigger versions of the same buildings. This results in the game having very little depth, and exposes the biggest issue of the game being that there isn't actually a reason to explore or build. The game has no goal besides survive for 50 cycles and then go to the surface, and frankly the best way to do that is to just sit at the default population and maintain your systems. Expansion and exploration does nothing for you because there's nothing to find, nothing to do outside of building more and more of the same buildings. Building doesn't feel fun or meaningful without progression or a sense of purpose, and unless I'm missing something after about 4 playthroughs of the game, there isn't one to be found. While city simulators and management games may not always have a defined purpose or goal, those games at least have some kind of meaningful progression in them which rewards you for building or growing your city, and this is absent in Life in Bunker. Since the game has problems with building being shallow, we need to look at the survival aspects, and unfortunately the survival aspects are also pretty bare bones. When I first started the game I made sure to have plenty of food and oxygen because I believed without them my civilization would die immediately, but it turns out that most people can go years without any kind of food, and oxygen can never go below 10%. Even if you get to the minimum level of oxygen, all it actually does is slow your workers down. In fact, nothing you manage in Life in Bunker outside of food is meaningful in any way, and completely ignoring something just slows your workers down a bit. This really removed the sense of immersion of trying to survive for me once I realized that not even lack of oxygen was an actual danger. Also, even when your society is perfectly happy and should be working at peak effectiveness, the bad AI still cripples your efficiency. There is a grand total of 1 enemy in the game, which is Mooseman. Mooseman spawn from holes in the ground that appear when you do not lay proper flooring down. They will attack any close citizen and will continue to spawn until a janitor closes the hole. Mooseman show off all the problems in this game to an extremely frustrating degree. Since you cannot directly control your people and janitorial priority is seemingly random, what should be easily fixable Mooseman holes can get left open for years, resulting in an area being flooded with Mooseman with there being almost nothing you can do. There are neither defensive jobs nor any defensive buildings, so the only way to even fight Mooseman is by assigning a huge number of tasks to an area and hoping your citizens go in large enough numbers to wipe out the horde. But that probably won't happen, and instead they'll go in one by one and get mauled and dying over what should have been an easily fixable problem. Life in Bunkers and aesthetics and theme are very generic and uninspired. While I'm not against the Fallout shelter theme, The developers don't do anything original with that theme. The story is almost non-existent, with the tutorial being the only story interaction you get throughout the entire game. Aesthetically, the simplistic low-poly look is okay, but the quality varies drastically between object to object. The machines have quite a bit of detail and good-looking animation to them. The developers also did a good job of adding easy-to-see indicator lights to each machine, which clearly show what a machine needs to function and when they are broken down. But the people, and especially the Mooseman, look overly blocky. Fixing this game is going to be a nightmare, but it may be possible with a significant overhaul. Firstly, and most importantly, meaningful progression needs to be implemented. This means adding a huge number of new buildings and things to do. Why each layer of the bunker is completely the same outside of tougher rocks is baffling. The developers need to add additional enemy types to make it harder to progress downwards, and a reason to go downwards. Make lower levels have more advanced resources, or even some kind of endgame that involves something more than waiting. Secondly, AI needs to be rebuilt to allow any available worker to work on any project. Instead of statically assigning one project to one person, workers should be able to work together and finish each other's projects. Also, give the player the ability to set priority. Someone's lunch on a table shouldn't supersede closing mole holes in any case. Thirdly, make it so you have some way to deal with the Mooseman, whether it's robots that fight or creating a new job for citizens to act as armed guards. The developers need to make it possible to deal with Mooseman efficiently and quickly. By doing this, it also opens up a huge number of options to expand the Mooseman's role beyond just a nuisance. The game is priced at $16, and if you've gotten this far in the review, you can probably predict me saying that it isn't worth it. The biggest reason leads back to the progression problems I mentioned earlier, and that results in the game having really no replayability. A building and city game without replayability is just unacceptable. One of the biggest draws for me personally in the management genre is being able to replay the game dozens of times and taking each playthrough to explore a different aspect of the game, whether it be building strategies, economy, or just simply building cities that look cool. You could change some of the settings in Life in Bunker to make the game slightly easier or harder, but this becomes irrelevant as working towards nothing every game limits the number of times you want to play the game anyway. Life in Bunker is crippled by its bad AI and lack of any meaningful progression or endgame, and until it gets fixed, this game is not worth playing. This game honestly belongs in early access with looking at the number of features currently available, but since it's a full release, I'm unfortunately going to have to give the game a verdict of a void. Life in Bunker is generic, unbalanced, and just plain boring. And even if they do manage to fix the problems I mentioned in this review, there are just simply so much better games available in this genre. Thank you for watching this episode of Play, Wait or Avoid for Life in Bunker. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this review. Have a different experience with the game or think that my verdict is wrong? Leave a comment down below and we can discuss it further. Also, if you're looking for a review of a much better management game, check out my review of Factorio, an isometric factory creation game. Or if you're looking for something different entirely, check out my early access review of Grip, a revival of the 1999 PlayStation game Roll Cage.